We've had this Eskimo FATFISH tent for 4 years now, but we wanted to let you know what we think of it, how it's worked over the years, things that we've liked about it, things that could be improved, so that you can make a good decision about what kind of tent you're going to buy. These Eskimo tents come with a really strong bag. It's got some big handles. This tent is pretty heavy. It's about 70 pounds when it's dry. You can pick it up on your own, but if you're going a long way out, it's kind of nice because these straps, you can have one person on either side carried on that way. One of the things that we had to modify about the bag is replacing the little clips that these straps connect to. We actually had a couple of them break right off. What we ended up doing is just replacing them with these stronger carabiners. We find that a carabiner is nice because you can just snap those straps into place for easy on, easy off. But overall, the rest of the bag, the straps themselves and the bag itself has held up really nicely. The tent comes with a strap. It's really useful for getting it all nice and tight so that it slips in and out of the bag pretty efficiently. But again, it comes with a silver buckle that we replaced with a heavier duty carabiner. Makes it a lot easier to undo the strap. There we go. And the strap itself we found a little bit short, especially once it's set up and the tent just has a bit of snow on it. It's a bit wet, a bit more bulky. We just added just a short amount of rope just to extend that strap so that when you're putting the tent back away, all you have to do is you roll this around, put your extended rope through the carabiner here, and then it's just a lot easier to really tighten that down. And then the Velcro just pushes together, and now you've got a nice clean system ready to go back into the bag right there. When you're setting up the tent, it's a lot easier if you start off with the roof panels first. Then we're gonna get the two long sides set up and then the two smaller ends. The tent came with this nice storage bag, and in here you'll have patches. If you ever rip your tent, you've got some extra material here that they provide to make repairs. Never happened to us, but it's there if we ever need it. And also there's 8 of these ice anchors included as well. There's enough here for you to anchor down your tent, the 4 corners, the 2 sides, and then also there's a couple here if you want to use for the guy lines to keep the wind from collapsing the tent. These ice anchors are really, really solid, and we found that we've had this for 4 years and they still stay pretty sharp. But sometimes the ice is really, really dense, especially the years where the snow is not very deep and it gets super cold. Around here we could get -30, -40. With shallow snow, that ice gets really, really hard. One of the tricks that you could use is actually get a drill and actually pilot a hole into the ice and then just screw this in place. It makes your life a lot easier. If you're going for a few nights and you've got a lot of gear and you're going into a remote lake, then maybe that's something you want to leave behind. But if you're just going to drive your truck on and you can bring a bit more gear, then bring a hand drill with you just to make putting these in the ice just that much easier. Depending on the day, we don't anchor all of the points around the tent. What we usually try to do is we anchor the sides, so this one in the middle on this side and the one on the other side in the middle, because what that does is it stretches out the footprint of the tent. Given that this is essentially 2 cubes beside each other, the tent naturally wants to kind of cinch in the middle, and then it reduces how much room you have in the tent. So these anchors are great for spreading that out. You get a few more, probably 2 more holes in the ice for fishing inside the tent if you do it this way. On a windy day, then sure, we're gonna want to anchor the corners, and then on a really windy day, we even want to use the guy lines that they provide to keep that side wall from collapsing. Generally what we try to do is have the small sides face into the wind. So generally we would only really need to anchor one side. On the really, really windy days, especially on large lakes, even if you start in the day and it's not very windy, figure out kind of where the wind is coming from. Because generally what we find is during the day the wind can pick up into the afternoon. And so we'll just throw an anchor down. That way you don't have the wall collapsing on everybody on the inside. Oh, come on. Every once in a while the wind will shift around the tent a little bit, and so they've provided 2 other guy wires so that you can anchor 2 of the walls into the lake on the long side. Like most ice fishing tents, this one comes with a skirt that goes all the way around. It's really important not to overlook it. Piling up all the snow around on the skirt will do 2 things. It'll keep the shelter warmer inside because it stops the wind from blowing up underneath. It also makes it darker. If you want to sight fish, look down the holes and see the fish swimming below you. A great way to do that is you cut out as much light as you can. Close all the windows, close the doors, and then put the snow all the way around the bottom, and it really locks up the light, and then you'll see a lot more into the lake that way. This tent is the FATFISH 9416i. The I means that it's insulated. And we bought the insulated tent because we wanted to use this not only for just getting out ice fishing, but also for camping overnight on the ice and fishing overnight for things like burbot. There's a couple of trade-offs with an insulated tent. One of them is it's a warmer tent. It's a lot harder for the wind to get through, but the trade-off on the other side is it makes the tent a lot heavier. And then when you do have the tent set up, especially overnight, there is a moisture that can build up inside the tent. Overall, that moisture will be absorbed by the tent a little bit more. Let's say you're spending a night on the ice, and then you want to move to a different location, and because it's an insulated tent and it's wicked more of that moisture in, the tent itself is going to be a little bit heavier. Those are all just kind of the trade-offs. You got to decide which kind of tent you want for your purpose. This is a heavier duty tent, much warmer and much more comfortable, especially for overnight. Up here in Canada, we've been out ice fishing when it's been -25, -30, and we've managed to sleep very comfortably in here overnight. Part of the reason we can do that is because it is insulated. One of the things that we love about Eskimo tents is that they have a black roof, and that black roof is great for keeping in some heat. So if the sun's out and it starts coming down on this roof, man, that tent can warm up a lot. Inside the tent, especially on a cold day, we run a buddy heater, sometimes 2 buddy heaters if we're camping and the sun is down, and that'll keep the tent warm. But during the day, even just a little bit of sun, even on a cold day, this black roof can really warm up the tent inside. The doors on these Fatfish tents are triangular shaped. It works okay, but it's not great, to be quite honest. Newer Outbreak tents that have a door that opens up at the bottom is actually a lot nicer for getting in and out. We do find that the zipper is a little bit flimsy. It's never failed on us, but we're always a little bit nervous that it's going to. One of the things, especially when we have these guy lines on, the sidewall gets pretty tight here, and so going in and out of the door, to remove some of the tension, we collapse the wall down just a touch, just to get it around that corner, and then we can release it, bring that tension back on, and then bring the door all the way back. We use buddy heaters in here, cots when we're sleeping on the tent overnight. So there's a lot of stuff kind of coming and going. It can get a little bit annoying with this style of door. On a warmer day, we don't even close the door. It's really nice. They even brought in some Velcro here on the side. All you'll have to do is fold this back, and then the Velcro holds there, and so that this door is not going to be flapping in the wind, especially if you're piling all your gear inside and the door's out of the way. These Eskimo tents have a ton of windows. If you're fishing in the middle of the lake where it's really deep and you're not counting on sight fishing much because the fish are too low in the water column, then what we can do is we get in the tent, we stay out of the wind, we stay warm, but we pull all the windows open so that we can see, and there's some nice light in there. The clear part of the window actually tears away, so you can open it right up. We haven't used that feature very often, but man, it comes in handy when you do use it.
Hey, any fish yet?
No. When you're wrapping up this tent and this guy line, it's kind of nice because all you have to do is use these little pockets right here under the tie points. It just fits right in there, and then you don't have to take it apart, and it's ready to go for the next time you set up the tent. It's always important at the end of a trip to dry out your tent. Whenever we come back, we always set it up inside. We actually put it up in our basement and just let it dry out for a couple of days. Keeps the mildew down and keeps the tent in really good shape. We've had this for 4 years now. It's been really good to us, and we hope to have it for a lot more years yet.